Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Okay, today's video I want to talk to y'all about books. Okay, I love reading. Okay, if you haven't been paying attention these past few videos, you would know that I can't stop talking about the fact that I just love reading books. It's one of my all-time hobbies, all-time favorite hobbies. Okay, now I have here collected quite a few. Oh my god, they're pretty heavy. A few books that I have read this year so far. Now the year is not technically over, so that means that maybe by the end of the year I'll do an updated video to more books that I have read. But frankly, I think I might just do like every now and then when I've read a couple books, you know what I mean? Like if all I did was read one book this whole year so far, I probably wouldn't be doing this video. But due to the amount of books that I have read so far this year, I gotta talk about them. Okay, now let me just start by saying these books, I am not going to be talking about them in chronological order from when I started the year to right now. I'm just go into it. Okay, I'm just gonna go into it because I don't have time to remember what books I've read since the beginning. If I wanted to though, I would thankfully look up to my book journal from, this is from Barnes & Noble, not sponsored, but Barnes did give these out for free. They're little book journals where you can basically write about the books that you have read. You can fill in like the title, what day you started reading it, what day you finished it, the author, what genre is it, and then you can write your own little review on the book. So it's great. I like doing this. So now that we got that out of the way, let's get into some books, shall we? First book, which is a novelization of a movie, which happens to be one of my favorite movies of all time. It is Halloween Kills. Okay, yes, this is the novelization of the movie. Okay, gotta say, I hate being this type of person because I've always been annoyed of these people, but I hate to say it, but the book was better than the movie. Oh god, I hate the fact that I said that. But yeah, this book has so much more than what the movie had. Okay, and I have the other book too. I don't have the regular Halloween 2018 book, but I do have Halloween Ends, which I haven't read yet, but I do have it, and I'm excited to get into that because if this one had more detail and more scenes than the movie did, I guarantee Halloween Ends, the novelization, I might like that more than I like the movie. Because if you've seen my review on Halloween Ends, yikes, you would know that I'm not a big fan of that movie. Okay, but yeah, this book really traumatized me, and not because of the brutal kills that Michael does. Okay, Michael slays, obviously, quite literally, but there's just so much depressing stuff in this. Like, I forgot the character's name. If you guys have seen the movie, you would probably right now know the character from the first movie who escaped from the same prison hospital that Michael escaped from. He was the guy with the umbrella. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen this movie or read this book. When the character died in this movie, it was the most saddest thing I've ever seen. This book will absolutely destroy you with this character because it focuses a lot more on him, and it really just dives into like his backstory, which is something you don't want to read about because this absolutely traumatized me. Now, as you can see, I like to do little like the tabs that people do. I got the idea from TikTok, obviously. I also, in the beginning of my books, I write a little like post-it, which basically explains what each color like tab means. As far as my rating for this book goes, honestly, this is a 9 out of 10. Mainly because it was so damn good and I was just hooked on every single scene, but I just can't with the traumatizing stuff. I can't. So I marked a point off for you on that. Okay, the next book that I read is actually the very first and only Stephen King book I've ever read in my entire life, and it also happens to be my favorite Stephen King movie. So, you know, for someone who's a fan of horror, I'm not the biggest fan of Stephen King, unfortunately, but this one is just my favorite. Like, I love everything about it, and it is Carrie. Okay, this was one of the first horror books that I bought, and it's a really short book, honestly. Like, I think I took like a month to read this only because I was busy with school, so, you know, took me a while to finish this. Carrie is my favorite story from him, and this book, I mean, I gotta say, I'll probably rate this like, I'd give it like a 6 out of 10, only because there were a lot of moments where I'm like, we don't need to focus on that, you know what I mean? Like, we get it, but also I get Stephen King likes to get detailed, but honestly, it's mainly just because it's my favorite story that he's ever read. Next book that I read, which is I was gonna say is the only video game related book that I've read, but that's not true because the one after it is also, and that is Ready Player 2. Okay, if you have seen the movie Ready Player 1, basically this is the sequel to it. When I first watched Ready Player 1, I loved that movie so much. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and after seeing it, I'm like, wow, I would have loved to have a sequel. Like, it's so good. Like, I would like to see more, you know. But thankfully, you know, in the meantime, until they make a movie or something, whether they're gonna make it or not, I got to read the book. So frankly, this story takes the whole metaverse, virtual reality, to a whole new level, quite literally. Okay, it focuses a little bit on, like, you know, virtual reality. You know, like, we all know virtual reality, especially nowadays with, like, you know, Oculus and things like that. But this book really just made it seem like, what if we took that to an even further level, to the point where not only are you visibly there, but how about we interact with virtual reality? You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is basically every time you play a game in VR, whenever you get hit or attacked or shot or whatever it is, you get damaged in a game, you personally feel that. Your body personally feels that. If you are in VR and you're making out with someone, like, you feel it. You feel everything that's going on. Okay, if you do anything in here, your personal body, your physical real body outside of VR feels every single thing. Okay, and I gotta say, even though it sounds exciting, I'm giving this book a 7 out of 10, mainly because this is one of those stories that has the worst character decision. Okay, because we all see movies and stuff where characters just make the absolute dumbest decisions, and you're like, why would you do that? Why? What was the point of doing that? This is one of those books, unfortunately. So yeah, fortunately, wasn't the best, wasn't the good, but I will say I had fun with it. You know, I like the whole video game aesthetic, so 7 out of 10, not bad, you know what I mean? Next book, which I loved so much, and I was really sad that I finished reading it, but thankfully there's 2 more after this. That is The Silver Eyes from Five Nights at Freddy's. Okay, I told you guys in a very recent video that I was reading this, and I just finished it, like, I think last week. My god, do I freaking love this book. Okay, this book focuses on the creator of the restaurant and the characters. It focuses on the creator's daughter, and basically her just trying to solve the mystery as to why was her dad, like, blamed for this whole thing with, like, the kids that went missing and the murder and stuff like that, and why did the pizzeria closed down. I read this though because I want to prepare myself for the movie, obviously, which is why I can't wait to read the next 2 books. I might read Fazbear Frights, but those are a lot of books, so I gotta, like, really, like, see if I'm gonna have the time or the money to buy those books. So, you know, for the meantime, I read this, and it's great. I like it, honestly. This book, gotta say, this gets I would say this gets an 8 out of 10, mainly because it doesn't really focus too much on the animatronics, which as much as you would want to, you know what I mean? Like, you probably want there to be a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's action, like in the games. Like you want a lot of like them being active, them hunting people down, killing people. Like you probably want that a lot in this book, and unfortunately you don't get a lot of it, okay? But it is still a very interesting story, and it is a story that had me hooked the entire time. So I think you guys would like it. Even if you don't know anything about Five Nights at Freddy's, I recommend it. This next book absolutely made me really sad. This is probably one of the saddest books I've ever read, and it is The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. Oh my god, where do I even start? This book absolutely ruined me. Like, this book is about a little girl who has this like rabbit doll, and basically she like loses him or something like that, and the whole time Edward is trying to like find his way back to her. But the problem is, this isn't like a Toy Story situation where he can just get up and walk when people aren't watching him. He's a doll. Like he's like this Yoshi here. Like he's just sitting there. He can't move, but he has feelings. He has feelings, and all he's thinking of in this whole time that he is lost is, I need to get back to my owner. And it's just so sad seeing him go, because literally every single chapter is him with someone else, because other people find him and then they lose him and then they find him. So it's like this whole like giant cycle over and over again where he gets new owners, they lose him, he's just a constantly lost doll. And the ending of this book just made me so sad. I remember finishing this book, my sister was in the room with me, and I was like, please don't cry, because my sister will make fun of me forever. She's read this book before too, so she kind of expected, she's like she knows what's coming for me, you know. But yeah, this is one of the saddest books I've ever read, and honestly I think this book deserves a 10 out of 10. This is one of the greatest stories I've read, and it just had me so hooked. But it was like so sad to me. Like it really made me realize a little more than what Toy Story did, where it's like even your objects have feelings, and if they know that they belong to you, they're special to you, you know what I mean? And all they want is to make you happy, and that just like made me really sad, you know. This next book that I read is one of the it's actually, I believe this is the first LGBTQ book that I read. I think I mentioned this book once before. It is Every Word You Never Said. This book is not mine, it's actually my sister's. She let me borrow it though, because she believed that I would like it, and honestly I loved this book so much. Finished reading it, and it's so cute, honestly. Like, it is about two gay boys. One of the boys doesn't speak, he's mute, which means that he's not deaf. Like, he can hear, but he can't speak. So the whole time, whoa, what just happened? I feel like my house just blinked. So the whole time, basically, he's just talking through Siri, where he just types things into his phone and speaks. And the other boy, I believe their names are Skylar and Jacob. Skylar, I believe, is the mute boy, and Jacob is like the other boy who really likes him. One of the things that I liked about it, and I think my sister knew I was gonna like about this book, is the fact that Skylar is the type of boy that loves to dress feminine. Like, he loves wearing skirts, which is me. Oh my god, me. Okay, you know, femboy stuff. Okay, let's have more femboy appreciation in our books, you know what I mean? So I think that's what I liked about this book, and that's what like really caught my attention, is that it's a book about a boy who likes to wear skirts. Like, how could I say no to that? This book, honestly, 10 out of 10. It's so cute, honestly. To me, this story is up there with Heartstopper. Like, Heartstopper was one of the cutest stories I've ever read, and it's just like one of my favorite gay stories. And this one is up there too with Heartstopper. So if y'all liked Heartstopper, I guarantee you'll probably like this one. So check out Every Word You Never Said. It is amazing, and I gave it a 10 out of 10. This next book is, of course, a book that I bought when I really was confused about myself, and I was like, I need to learn a little something more. And I bought this book, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna read it and learn about myself. And it is What's the Tea by Juno Dawson, which, yes, this is a book about transgender. Okay, now this book it does say the guide to all things trans and or non-binary. Okay, so it's not just about transgender people, it's like not just trans women or trans men. It also focuses on non-binary people, which what I like about this book is that I bought it for the purposes of understanding my own life. Like, I was like, is this really who I am? Like, am I trans? Like, you know, I was confused with myself. And I bought this book and it made me realize so many things. And one of the things that I liked about it is the fact that this book isn't meant for trans people to just read. You know what I mean? Like, it's supposed to make you like really understand yourself, you know. And also, this book isn't just meant for trans people. This book is quite literally meant for anyone who, maybe if you're a parent for a trans kid, maybe if you know, if your friend is trans, if your boyfriend or girlfriend is trans and you don't really understand them so much, this book will help you. And even if you just want to learn a little something about trans culture and like things that, or like trans people, like you just want to learn about transgender people, like understand them a little bit more, like see things through their point of view, this book is definitely great. And it's honestly a really short book, like it's not that long, and it focuses on so many things. Like, it's in the POV of both trans women, trans men, and non-binary. Okay, it focuses on different POVs, so you learn a little something from everyone. And I think this book is great, and I give this book also a 10 out of 10 because it really helped me understand myself. So thank you, Juno Dawson, for helping me out. Okay, the next book I read is one of the big books that I've read this year. I think this is probably the biggest book that I've read, and it is Emma. Jane Austen has become one of my recent favorite authors. This is the first book I ever bought from her. My other one, which is Pride and Prejudice, which I'm still reading, which is why it didn't make an entrance in this video at any point. But Emma was a really cute story, honestly, and I didn't just read this because Anya Taylor-Joy played Emma in the movie. This book in general was really interesting, and I like the story about it. Okay, if you guys have never seen Emma or never read it or heard anything about it, all I need you guys to know is that if you've seen the movie Clueless, then you kind of get where this movie or this story goes. I would probably say this book, I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10 because even though I've seen the movie, I was lost a lot of the time. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, wait, where are we now? Wait, who is she talking to? Wait, who's talking? Like, I was just lost the whole time, probably because of the fact that it took me so long to read it that I was starting to feel like, oh my god, I'm over it. Like, where are we? What is going on in the story right now? It's a cute book though, and honestly, this cover is amazing. Honestly, I think this is a Barnes and Noble exclusive. And the last book that I have here that I read was the very first book I ever got from Book Talk, which is basically the book community on TikTok. And it was honestly the only one on Book Talk that interested me enough to actually buy it. And it is One of Us is Lying. It's a very teen drama type of story. Like, it's very much for teenagers, you know. Like, if you're a fan of watching Riverdale or The Vampire Diaries or anything like teen dramas like that, then I think this book is meant for you. Personally, I loved the whole story. Basically, I'm gonna just give you guys like the brief explanation if you've never heard of this book. But basically, it's about these teenagers who go into detention, and one of them dies in detention, and the whole time you're just trying to solve the mystery as to who it was, you know. And everyone's questioning all the remaining students that are alive, and it's just it honestly kind of feels like Scream, like when you watch Scream, where you're like, everyone is a suspect. Like, you're literally like, oh, now this person, I think this person did it. No, I think this one maybe did it. That was me reading this book. I was reading through it, and I was just at a loss. And I know they have a show on Peacock, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't seen it, but the book, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. it wasn't bad. It just felt like I was watching something like Riverdale, you know, which I don't watch, but you know, if you're into things like Riverdale, then I think you'd like this. And check out the show too, because I've never seen the show. If any of you out there have seen it, let me know if I should watch it. But yeah, it wasn't a bad story. I just, you know, I just love a little murder mystery every now and then, you know. And that is basically all the books that I have read this year so far, you guys. I know, like I said, the year's not over, so I'm still gonna read more books. I still have a lot of books that I haven't read yet. So, you know, maybe by the end of the year, I'll do an updated one on more books that I've read. Hopefully, I read a lot more. And in the meantime, read or something. Get off your phone, go outside, read a book, you guys, okay? Get off Twitter because y'all are toxic sometimes, okay? Read a book every now and then, you guys. Honestly, it's not even just like entertaining, like it's also really good for you. So yeah, don't forget to read and drink water and subscribe and like this video and check out some of my other videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.